everybody. This is my first talking head video of the Papa 40 project. I'd like to thank you all for subscribing and checking out the videos. You know, this whole channel's purpose is just going to be informational, plus to document my portion of this build to stay in the 51% regulations for the FFA. Or FFA, yeah, we're just go plant some corn. The FAA, so I can be considered the manufacturer of this airplane. I know I'll probably have a lot of friends and acquaintances that don't know much about aviation. So let me give you a quick rundown. So hopefully it'll help you better understand what's going on. This airplane here is a lowly P-40 replica kit. It's a 3/4 scale of the original World War II fighter. This is classified as an experimental airplane. Long and short of it is this airplane has not had to conform with the FAA certification standards for a normal airplane like a Cessna 172 or even a Boeing 747. They all have set parameters that they have to meet by the FAA. The experimental category is more of the heart of general aviation. It's where we all started. Something that I cared deeply about keeping going, keeping the government out of as much shit as possible as we can. So the origin of this plane and many of the others in the experimental category is they came in kit form. So basically crated up, just pieces of plywood and stringers. I know you can't see much of it. We're limited on space right now. I'm working in my basement while I sit on multiple waiting lists for hangars. My local airport here has about a 5-year waiting list, and that's obviously not going to fly. No pun intended. So I've got on a couple more waiting lists. Hopefully within a few months we can get into one. So all the videos we do here in the basement are going to be unfortunately up close because it's a shit show down here. I've got a car torn to pieces. I've got an airplane torn to pieces. A good thing I sold all my boats to get them out of the way. But no, what I was saying is these airplanes just come crated up in a kit, and you take that kit and a set of plans that comes with it, and you build it yourself. A prime example is this right here. These wooden pieces that my fingers are on, they would all, be just in a box and numbered, and you would take them out and form this piece of wood around them and glue them all together, and there's the bottom of the bottom cowling that goes under the engine. Forms the shark mouth. And as long as you do 51 or more percent, you or any other amateur, as long as y'all's combination of assembly is more than 51%, this can be certified as an experimental amateur built, which means me or whomever has it at the end when it's certified, can be classified as the manufacturer. What that grants you is the ability to do your own condition inspections every year. You don't have to take it and have an A&P do one like other experimentals that are not amateur built. They have to go through basically the same process as an annual inspection that a certified one does. This one still has to be inspected, and all that stuff has to be checked, but I built it, so I should be able to check it, right? It's the whole story of it. So that's where we are in this. I'm the third owner of this airplane. The guy I bought it from got it basically still in crates. It was not there wasn't much at all done by the first owner. He had it and it sat in a barn, and then the guy I bought it from did pretty much everything you see here. Like I said, I know you can't see the back half, but you know, he's got it 3/4 of the way. There's just a few more things that I need to do so I can get it covered, and hopefully get it inspected and get ready to start flight testing. One of the things that I've been working on is the fuel system for it. I bought it not running. I was promised that it would run. I had no reason to not trust the gentleman I bought it from. So it had been sitting. The fuel pump that was on it got gummed up, and it just didn't want to go. So what I did was I found the book that covers this engine conversion, which I'll talk about it in a second. Got the fuel pump specs. Went down to Napa and got a fuel pump that fit the specs. It's not what I want. It's not what I'm going to keep, but it allowed me to test it. So after tracing all that out, getting all this stuff primed back up, this line's off of it now, but that's what runs up here to the throttle body. I was able to get it running, which I have in another clip on the channel, just a short first fire up video type thing. So she does run. She runs great. I do think I'm going to clean up the throttle body injection unit before I get too serious into it, because I have some modifications I'm going to do to it anyways. So where it stands now, basically redesigning the fuel system. Like I said before, let's go into the engine, what it is. It'll help us understand why we're going for what we're doing with the fuel system. This is a 1.0 liter, 3-cylinder. It's actually a Suzuki manufactured engine, but it's the same engine out of a Geo Metro or Chevrolet Metro, if y'all remember those. 3-cylinder, makes about 58 horsepower. This one does have a upgraded reground cam, which gives it about 68 horsepower. More on the bottom end, more takeoff power, more climb power. Not a whole lot on the top end. So that ought to be good once we get to where we can fly it. But saying all that is those engines are fuel injected. This one's the exact same, so same deal. It's not direct port, it's throttle body injection. If anybody's unfamiliar with what throttle body injection is, it's basically a computer controlled carburetor. It just sits right on your intake plenum like a carburetor would. It squirts it down in there, and then it just goes out all the runners, just like a carburetor, except it's computer controlled. It's got all these fancy sensors and stuff on it to help it out, get better fuel economy, that type of stuff. So with that, this engine is entirely dependent upon this high pressure fuel pump right here. I don't know about y'all, but I get kind of nervous being at 5,000 feet and knowing that's the only thing keeping me flying is this little rinky-dink pump down here. So I'm in the process of basically redoing the whole fuel system. I'm going to add some redundancy and an extra measure of safety. As of right now, we've just got this one flow-through filter going straight to the pump into this pipe, which led right up here into our that back post on our throttle body injection. This front one's actually the return line. It's got its own pressure regulator in it. So what I've done that I'll show you over here on the bench is I've gotten 2 Walboro 225 liters per hour fuel injection pumps that we're gonna put down here. We're not gonna run both of them at the same time. I feel like that's just unnecessary amp draw, making the alternator work too hard, the batteries work too hard. So what I'm doing is I'm in the process of building a header tank. The guy I bought it from gave me this one. And doing a little looking around on Aircraft Spruce last night, I think this is actually a Raven header tank. Raven is the company that made the redrive kit and the whole like all the information on how to adapt the wiring harness and stuff for this Geo conversion. But I just cannot make this thing work. Right? Ideally, you would want to put it here, but the outlet is going to be so damn low that your fuel pumps are going to have to be right down here on the bottom. And getting everything to fit with filters and all that shit just hadn't worked for me, no matter how I tried it. So I'll show you over there on the bench. I've got it drawn out. I got the pump sitting there. It'll make a lot more sense when you get some visual. But basically, I'm going to build a header tank out of aluminum that's going to sit in this area right here. It shouldn't come any further out than right there. It's going to be about 6 inches deep. And that way we can feed our pumps, which are going to be here. I'm going to have 2 separate outlet bungs on the bottom, and each fuel pump is going to be fed individually. That way, if somehow some trash or something clogs the outlet up on the main fuel pump, the secondary pump is going to be wired independently, and it's also going to be plumbed independently. So we're going to have to get some really giant piece of trash in there to cover up both bungs. I just think it's going to make a lot more sense. This is probably going to hold an extra 1.3 gallons of fuel as well. I believe it's got a 12-gallon tank in it, so we're going to have a 13th gallon down here. This thing cruises at about 3 gallons an hour, so she's going to have a pretty extensive range on her. The only drawback, she's kind of slow. Cruise at 80 on a good day, I believe. If you got some tailwinds and stuff, V&E is going to be about 100 miles an hour on it. So yeah, she's no speed Neiman, but she's going to look cool. And the goal is to have her ready for Oshkosh, not this year, but next. I do want to fly it up and have it judged, and I'm sure in other videos we'll get into the covering and the paint scheme and all that kind of stuff. I've got some, excuse me, allergies, man. I've got some really good ideas for what we're going to do with it, and I hope you guys enjoy it. It's going to be historically accurate. I'm going to take and flare these out, take them off, flare it out, take a torch, obviously take them off the wooden airplane, and hit the tips with the torch to give them that blued look, flare it out. Should be great. But yeah, other than that, I know I've kind of bounced around all over the place. So yeah, header tank's going to go in here, dual, separately plumbed fuel lines. All this rubber hose is getting changed over to AN lines and fittings. With PTFE hose, we're not going to have to worry about it. It's going to have non-ethanol ran in it anyways. So it shouldn't be a problem, but I'm making doubly sure that it's not going to be a problem. I think I'm going to run dual hoses to a Y about right here. That way, obviously they're going to be tucked back up under there. But I think my inline small micron filters are going to have to go down in here. I was going to hard line them in over there, but it makes the whole pump and filter assembly and all that like that long. It's just too much to fit in here. So we're going to go with a pre-filter, the dual pumps, dual lines, and then we'll have 2 inline filters somewhere up in here, wherever I can fit them in, comes up here, the back hose, This has a pressure regulator in it, and then we have a 4AN return line that feeds back into our pump. Um, this engine is liquid cooled. That's this line right here. These two lines are heater hose lines. Going down into our radiator that's hidden in here. Functional scoops. We've got good. That's one advantage to this. The cabin heat is going to come off heated air out of the radiator. It's not off the exhaust like a normal plane is. So there's even less chance of CO2 poisoning or anything like that. I haven't. I don't think I'm gonna have carb heat. I'm gonna have to check the regulations and see if carb heat is necessary. I mean, this thing's never gonna fly anywhere. I wouldn't imagine that carb heat would be needed. So I'm gonna have to do a little research and see if it's an issue. I've got a pipe coming up right here that I can just plumb into this and then into the air box if we need to get some carb heat air back up here. So I'll check the regs and let you know on that. And if we need it, we'll get it in there. No issues. My heat shielding did come in today for this back wall, so I think I'm going to take the engine off all the way, get all the heat shielding back in here, get this covered up nice and good. That way we don't have to worry about anything like that. I've got some lighting upgrades coming for it. Trust me, if you don't have to, don't ever buy freaking lights for airplanes. They're expensive as shit. The landing lights in this thing were just, I don't know if you can see it, or I don't know if it's in the camera or not. These are freaking pathetic. So, Fly LEDs out of Australia has me a package on the way. Not sponsored or anything, I paid for them. So, I hope I didn't order them too big. I ordered the 3 LED landing light with the wig-wag switch to go right in here. I'm afraid it's not going to fit. I might have to order the 2. And I doubt they'll let me send the others back. So if anybody needs a 3 LED landing light for an RV, because that's what they're supposed to go on, I'm just adapting them. I might have one for sale. But all right, well, I think that's all I want to show you here at the airplane for now. Let's head over to the bench, and I'll give you a good visual representation of how the fuel system's going to go. All right, everybody, welcome to the workbench. It's actually just an old desk that I stuck in the corner. So here's what I wanted to show you, my visual representation of what I'm thinking for the fuel system. I took this styrofoam and shoved it up where I was pointing at to get my dimensions. It's going to be the approximate size of the header tank. It's just something I had left laying around, but I've got it drawn out on the paper there. That's the dimensions of it, and then the calculations brings it out to 300 square inches, and that translates to 1.30 gallons of additional fuel. So I'm gonna have 2 bungs. I was talking about having the pumps ran separate. So that's what we're gonna do. The back bung will come down. This will be the main fuel pump. This is our 100 micron filter. AN couplings to our first Walbro 225 an hour high pressure pump. And see what I was talking about, the 10 micron filters? This whole assembly just gets really long when I try to put it all together. So I think I'm gonna nix these down here and put them in the inline lines. This pump, I'm gonna have a bung. I don't know if I'm putting it up here yet or back here, because ideally this will be level in level flight. And if you're trying to get to the ground, you're going to be nose down. So, you know, think about it rationally. If you have an oh shit moment, um, where you're having fuel issues, you're going to be wanting to get to the ground. So you're going to be nose down. So I'm thinking the secondary pump bung will be up this way. I probably will not run a big pre-filter because this is just going to be a save my bacon type pump. I will put an inline 10 micron just because why not? I got the room to do it, and you know, better safe than sorry, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'll rethink that and just run the secondary backup non-filtered at all. Because theoretically, all this shit's going to be filtered because it's getting recirculated through this main pump the whole time. Plus, my can has a filter in it. So, the likelihood of contaminants being in there is low. But I want to give this pump the most chance of functioning possible. Right? Because it's there to save our butts if something goes wrong. So yeah, that's what it's going to look like hanging down in that little undersection. I think it's a pretty solid deal. You know, I think had that kind of sitting there for like a little representation. But yeah, I think we're just going to have a gravity feed out of the main tank into this one. I thought about putting like a carburetor style fuel pump to feed this one, but that's starting to. I just feel like that's starting to get a little bit too complicated, right? Because gravity will do everything we need for this header tank. So there's no need to put a restriction in between this tank and the main tank. So let's just keep it open, big heavy line, 8 AN line to get as much fuel as possible. Which I may upgrade this to put 8 AN coming into here and then down to 6 for the rest of the way. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. This is the line I got. It's really good stuff. I mean, looks quality. It's the cheap shit you can buy on Amazon, but I have just heard great things about them. All the research that I've done, and it looks like very quality hose. So yeah, I'm excited to use it. Like I said, PTFE. It should be good to go for us. And yeah. So until next time, I hope everybody is well. And I'm gonna try to do this every time I make some advancement with the plane. I don't want to get sets to a schedule like once a week or something like that. So whenever there's news, I'll put it out, and I promise to stay active on this thing. I want you guys to help hold me accountable and don't let me slack. Let's get this beautiful thing in the air. Hopefully in the air by the end of summer, and then we can worry about painting and getting Oshkosh ready by the next summer. So this is Chris with the Papa 4 Zero project. I appreciate you all. Love you. Have a great night.